Can you take us through your journey? How you started? What was that one turning point?
Yes, 35 years is long, and if I look back, it's filled with, on one side, loads of work, but on the other, loads of good memories. I won't say it was my first choice of career. I wanted to become someone else, but then
Sometimes the syllabus remains same and we need to add our new things. So how do you manage these tasks?
so the very fact that you know that education is not static, it is dynamic, and they actually come with a skill set which is much higher than the teacher who addresses them.
Every class differs in which they want the teacher or the principal to train them, talk to them in certain way. So how do you find that challenging?
It's actually a very challenging task because we no longer look at moral education as moral science class.
Ma'am, after 35 years of being in the same field, what is it that excites you the most about teaching?
I feel teaching, it's like, it's a little different from leadership and heading a school.
One hobby of yours that the world doesn't know about.
So true, because our personal side, we've never had reason to showcase that, or I think I've forgotten the day when I've used even some time to just have a chat with someone. There was this situation when I was in Chennai heading a school. My son, who was studying in BITS Goa, met with a very serious accident.
Hello and welcome to the Social Scoop, where we keep it real, keep it fun, and we keep it unpredictable. I am Bansari Trivedi, and this is not just another talk show, it's a whole vibe. Here at our own studio at Delhi Public School Nacharam, we bring in guests from all walks of life, be it social media influencers, creators, legends who will be talking about their journeys, their experiences, and how they succeeded in life. And the highlight, in our very first show, The Social Scoop, we have a segment called Jeevan Ki Udaan, where we bring in guests who have made it big in life, broken several barriers, and have stories that inspire. But that's not just all that we are exploring. We are going to talk about everything that's creative, trending, and worthwhile talking about. No scripts, no boring conversation, all raw, real, and unfiltered. So let's get started. This is The Social Scoop. Today, we have a very first special guest from the world of education who has shaped thousands of lives and continues to inspire. Imagine the world without prime ministers and presidents. Imagine a company without a CEO. Imagine a student without a teacher. And imagine a teacher without the principal. It all goes haywire, right? That is why our today's guest holds such an important role. She is the backbone of academic excellence. She is a teacher, a mentor, a leader, and someone who has dedicated her whole life in the world of education. We are honored to have with us National Awardee, Mrs. SUNITHA Rao Ma'am, the Senior Principal of Delhi Public School Nacharam and the Director of R&R Center. A very good morning to you, ma'am.
Morning, Bansari.
How are you doing today?
I'm feeling great. I, in fact, feel special being here today in this interaction with you.
Ma'am, to start off with, I have read that, first of all, congratulations on receiving the National Award.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I have read that you have had 35 years of experience in the world of education, in the field of education. Can you take us through your journey? How you started? What was that one turning point? And what it takes to receive the National Award?
Yes, 35 years is long. And if I look back, it's filled with, on one side, loads of work, but on the other, loads of good memories. And I think every day in my 35 years has been that of learning, evolving into becoming somebody or fitting myself into roles and responsibilities. It's been huge. The best part has been that I have been a teacher all these 35 years, and I cherish that. Being a teacher makes you the most cherished one because you get to work with children and you actually impact children through my subjects, that is math, statistics, and economics. I would really look back with great joy because I feel I don't think everyone would have the kind of roadmap that I had. I won't say it was well planned initially, but then things seemed to speed up in my life so much so that I started getting into leadership roles very young. And those are my turning points. So way back in 1990, when my baby was 6 months old, the youngest son, I started my career in teaching. And trust me, within a year, I was one of those chosen few to get trained on TQM, Total Quality Management. I think that was the seed sown in terms of standardization. If today my heart is in terms of process management, in terms of standardization of systems and practices, then I think way back it was sown in 1991. And further to that, I've scaled up from one role to the other, being a teacher of maths for primary school, then a social science teacher for middle school. I've been an academic coordinator, a HOD of the department. At the very young age, when my younger son was in class 3, I was chosen to become the principal. This was in Bharati Vidyalaya in a school in Chennai. And I think as young as that, being chosen to head a school actually made me scale up in terms of my skills, in my capacity, in my leadership qualities, and in everything that I have to do, because I had to head such a wonderful school in Chennai. And after that, I think there was no looking back. Further to that, I have had years of experience heading schools plus being a teacher. And the best thing, another turning point that I would call is having joined Delhi Public School. I'm the founder headmistress of DPS Mahindra Hills. And the kind of work that I did with Mahindra Hills in that 1 year in 2006-07, and the kind of encouragement and confidence that the management reposed in me, till date, it has actually stayed with me. And I feel the 16 years of journey with Delhi Public Schools itself, from being the founder headmistress of Mahindra Hills to being further coming back to Nacharam as a vice principal, then the senior principal, then the deputy director and the director today. It's a resource and research center which provides solutions for 16 schools, 5 Delhi public schools and 10 Pallavi group of institutions. That's huge. Yes. In my life, if I have to talk a little more about the turning points, I would then actually give credit to my mentors, to all the managements of the schools that have been part of, who have made me what I am, whether it's communication or it is leadership or goal setting or setting a higher standard of education in every single campus. I think it's my management in every school and currently in DPS that have shaped me to what I am today, and I'll be ever grateful for that.
Definitely, ma'am. Dear viewers, all of us think that teachers and principals have a standard timing of work. They go in the morning and return in the evening. Let us hear it from our principal, ma'am. Ma'am, as a principal, please be frank. Do you have any working hours?
Well, no, but then I should actually take the credit for extended hours to myself, because I don't think anyone ever stated to me that these are your working hours. But if I've enjoyed extending myself, if I've enjoyed carrying work back home, if I've enjoyed being ever present on the WhatsApp and continue my conversation of with the workplace, then I think it's something that I've set for myself, because I don't think in leadership roles you actually don't wait for someone to tell you how long you should work in a day and what you should do.
Yes.
You set you set everything for yourself, and that actually drives you to do much more. And the work chases you, and you chase the work. And therefore, it is, in spite of being long hours, I not just cherish my work, I enjoy my work.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I have also heard that during one of the incidents in your life, while you were mentoring your teachers, you had mentioned that even though there was a family emergency, probably an emergency in your family, you chose to stay in the school and then you chose the family later. So, dear viewers, when I talk about dedication and responsibilities a principal and a teacher holds, I think ma'am has definitely fulfilled all the roles in it. If you can talk about that particular emergency that you stated, ma'am.
There have been multiple. There was this situation when I was in Chennai heading a school. My son, who was studying in BITS Goa, met with a very serious accident along with his friends. And the call came. And the children had chemistry board exam the very next day in that school. And I felt highly responsible for the children because it was a residential school and we stepped into the role of the parents. Trust me, there was this conflict between rushing, take the flight and go to your son, or you're going to be with the students, helping them with their board exam because that's their turning point in life. And I think I took the decision to stay with the children. And my husband helped me by rushing to my son, and I went only later. I feel at times in conflicting situations in life, a leader has, it's all about, I must say, trust and confidence. Because if you have the confidence that this decision that you've taken does not harm the family, and the family is with you in all these decisions, I think it's fine. But then I don't think everyone will want to take the same decision. It seemed fine for me. And therefore, that's how I worked, because I've sat outside the ICU with my husband in surgery. Another conflicting situation in my life where I had to choose between my workplace and family was the most important occasion of my elder son's registered marriage. It was happening on the Children's Day, and I was sitting here in school facing an emergency where I had to solve that problem. It was like, for years I've waited for my son to get married, and am I going to take a call from my son during his registered marriage, or am I going to be focusing on solving the problem in school? But I think I chose the workplace. All of this conflict, I feel the way we face it, the fact is there something within you, a strength within you, which tells you that it's fine to be making these choices, your work versus your family. It's because at that point, when you prioritize, you're deep within you, there is some call that comes, says, I think you're doing the right thing. It's fine. There will be no regrets. There will be regrets. You are a human being, but then there will be no regrets in such a big way. And all through, I feel the biggest strength has been my family, who stood with me in all my decisions. And I think that is something very special for me.
There's nothing possible without family support, isn't it?
Exactly.
So is it that you have this love for children, or you always wanted to get into teaching? Was this your plan from the start?
I won't say it was my first choice of career. I wanted to become someone else, but then when I was young, I used to model out a teacher by writing out on a board and learning, teaching myself rather. And in school, the teacher always used to give me students who I had to mentor as early as class 7. So I'd always had 2 students besides me for whom I was responsible. I think all of that gave me a lot of confidence. But then, even though it was not my first choice, but when I entered into teaching, there has been no looking back. And I really enjoy being in the educational world.
Ma'am, the education is evolving quick. So do you think as a principal and as a teacher, do you find it difficult to evolve with the education? The syllabus keeps changing. Sometimes the syllabus remains same and we need to add our new things. So how do you manage these tasks?
So the very fact that you know that education is not static, it is dynamic. And the second important challenge for all of us leaders is the fact that we are having to cater to the needs of the Zen learners in the classroom. They actually come with a skill set which is much higher than the teacher who addresses them. And the fact that we also have to go in line with compliant boards, the curriculums that are offered to us, and the kind of expectations and progressive educational models that are, every other day we receive a new plan. And I think that makes it necessary for us heads of schools to be well versed with the current, at all points of time, always research more, explore more, read through every circular, read through every plan that has come, like say for example NEP, the New Education Policy 2020, I've never left it for the others down the line in the school to study and I assume that it's fine. No, I've done my first-hand level of understanding and reading through it. I feel the more you research, the more you read for yourself and for understanding, and then you check how it relates to the current status in the school. And we also have to be mindful that the world of education is an ocean. You can't bring all of it into school. The context of the school is important, firstly. Secondly, you have to really phase out the changes and the interventions that we wish to bring in. So in spite of a highly progressive model all over the world, we have to I have to do the balancing part of it and ensure that what I offer to the school or what I actually excite the members of the school is possible, and that everyone in the school, whether it's the student community or the teaching community, are with me in this change element that we wish to bring in. So I think that's it. And therefore, to stay with the current, we definitely have to not hesitate in moving forward. We have to take that element of risk also when we bring in some kind of a different angle of thought into the educational model. And we constantly have to recheck whether it's working for our school children and teachers or not.
Ma'am, academic excellence is very important, but so is character building.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, the Gen Z and the students as young as grade 5, 6, 4 and 11th, 12th senior secondary especially, everybody needs a certain way to be taught. So how do you find that challenging while building academic excellence as well as character development? Because they want certain style of teaching. Every class differs in which they want the teacher or the principal to, train them, talk to them in certain way. So how do you find that challenging?
See, basically, it's actually a very challenging task because we no longer look at moral education as moral science class. So we've actually inbuilt character building into the classroom transaction. That means through every task that the child engages, we're actually building on one's not just personality traits, we're also building on the character traits of a child. Whether it is confidence or courage and conviction, it is developing on their skills, ethics that is part and parcel of the child. It's like inbuilt. So it's so important. That means when we create the educational model in our school, especially we ensure that our teachers are well trained first, and the complete plan itself, because you have to start at the planning stage. If your plan does not cater to building a character in a classroom situation, then I don't think it's that easy. So we've actually redesigned the plan itself and to try to integrate both character building and the subject related conceptual understanding in a healthy model. More so, today's children want a combination of joyful task and the serious learning mode. So it's also very necessary that we ensure that the classrooms are highly engaging. There is a value add for every child in the class, in spite of the fact that they are heterogeneous in learning mode, and their learning styles are very different. And even the resources that are available to the children, whether it's in school or back home, all of this has to be, we have to be mindful of that before we even plan a task for the children. Whether there are equal opportunities in class is something that I always have worked for, whether at the larger scale of sports education and co-curricular or at the classroom level. Equal opportunities for everyone. That's another requirement or expectation of the children. And trust me, when we talk about character, it starts with the teacher. Because I have been taught by my mentors that you walk into your class with respect in your eyes for the children. The minute, whether it's a class 1 child or a class 12 child, if the teacher walks in with respect for children, the children trust and respect the teacher. So it's like you role model character building. You're punctual to the class. You're disciplined yourself. You've stated something to the children. You actually stay true to that. It's not like I expect something of you, dear children, but then it's not good enough for me. What's good for me is good for the children, because we actually in DPS, we believe the class is what you are.
Ma'am, after 35 years of being in the same field. What is it that excites you the most about teaching?
Um, I feel teaching, it's like, it's, it's, it's a little different from leadership and heading a school. You actually directly connect with children, and you also build in an area of interest in children, which is which paves the way for their career. Especially being a teacher of economics and statistics in senior school, I always have felt that I'm impacting the children, the way they think, the way they connect to the national affairs and world affairs, and the way they carry this forward as an area of interest for future. Because I have some of my students who have done their PhD, our alumni batch of students who've learned economics from me in DPS Nacharam, who are currently either already hold a PhD degree in economics or pursuing PhD in economics.
So, ma'am, how does it feel that your students, whom you had one thought, are now doing something great in life? They come, they meet you, you remember all those moments of teaching. How does it feel to be a proud teacher to them, a mentor to them, that you were a great part in their life? Because of you, they are somewhere, because of you, they have reached the heights there.
Actually, so well said. It's so true when the students come back to school and seek you, like, where are you, ma'am? Can I meet you, kind of? And they touch your feet. All the culture that, DPS Nacharam and our group of schools gives the children, it's so evident in the way they approach you, they meet you and greet you. And on top of that, they're so excited to tell you how the school has grown. They're all amazed about how the management has created edifices beyond their schooling days. And they definitely take time to mention how the school has made a difference and made a mark for what they are today. Because many of them, by name of projects, they mention, ma'am, IFBM, ma'am, apprenticeship. You remember the joy of giving. You remember the assembly. You remember you used to talk to us in the assembly. You spoke to us before the exams. Means they mention the kind of change that has happened, or the kind of impact that has happened on their mindset and their growth factor by the name of the teacher or by me. And that's very, very special, because I feel when a child relates back to their alma mater and wants to give back, it's actually, it gives you a lot of joy and happiness and a lot of pride.
Feeling that can't be described in words.
Yes.
So, ma'am, what kind of student were you? Were you a mischievous one, notorious one, or were you quite disciplined?
Fortunately, a very, very good student within quotes.
Ma'am, but there must definitely be some rules that you had broken in your childhood days.
I hope I had broken some, because I didn't. I think from the beginning, I grew up faster. I was quite self-governed and self-driven child. So I never felt it necessary that my family, my mom or my dad, had to urge me to do my homework or wash my white shoes and polish it on a Saturday. I don't understand why I was so goody-goody, but I was. And therefore, I feel I didn't do anything that that was not on par with the school. Probably that's one reason I grew up faster, and I've assumed roles of, different major roles in life. Maybe that's one factor that has led, because I do like the mischievousness in children. I do like the fact that they are their age, but probably I showed a little higher level of maturity in my school days.
Ma'am, they say every teacher doesn't have a favorite student. We'll do that again. Ma'am, they say every teacher has a favorite student, but they don't agree to it. So let us know from you, did you ever have any favorite student, and what is it that one quality in student that makes their favorite to their teacher?
To be frank, for me, this question would be not one child, but hundreds of students, because if today we have 8,000 children in DPS Nacharam, and in my 35 years, you can imagine how many students I have worked with in the direct form of being a teacher or a leader. So, but I feel children actually, their names are spoken more often by us. We more acknowledge them as we walk in the corridor or meet them. It's because of certain qualities. It's not a set list of qualities. It's anything and everything. This child is so kind, willing to extend a helping hand to another friend. You observe that, and your impression of the child actually is much more. It grows actually. You build an impression on the child. Another child has come forth with an idea to you, and they've kind of shown that courage to say, "Ma'am, I have an idea. Can I do that?" Somebody else is showing their passion. Each one is driven by a particular passion. So maybe they're acing it in sports or in co-curricular activities or anything. Some of them are very, very leader-like, and they assume leadership, whether it's taking charge of the dispersal or in the class as a class monitor. There are children who are reticent, but yet we remember them by qualities of their grooming, the picture perfect grooming, sense of hygiene. Some of them being ambassadors of nutritious food, so they're health ambassadors. Some of them actually are very supportive, but in a silent manner. They pick up books, they help keep the classroom clean. What I mean to say is, having a child in your favorite list, I don't think it's because of one observation or one particular act of a child. It's numerous things that make the children be in our hearts for years together.
Ma'am, going with the favorite child, now that I asked this question, definitely somebody must have come in your mind. Is there anything that you recall, one particular line that they told you, one sentence that you still remember?
I remember the child was very candid, and that impacted my way of dealing with children, and the way I actually supervise the children. Because this boy of class 12 walked into my office and he said, "Ma'am, whatever you have, any reason to correct me, you call me, you scold me, you have permission to even, admonish me and correct me or punish me, but please don't call my papa. My papa is very close to my heart. And the minute you make a call, because the last 2-3 times you did call my father, and I was not able to face him at home." I think that was a turning point for me, that, why are we not so sensitive to the child's needs? Yes, we need correction. We have to bring in the parents to collaborate with us for correction. But then why can't we check on what are their needs? So I think this child made a difference to my thinking process. So today I pause. I don't immediately pick up the call or tell someone pick up a call. I pause to say, are we doing the right things, or should we do this? So can we correct it at our level? Because many a time talking to the children itself has solved the problem. There are only, I feel we should draw the line between when you can address children yourself and when you need to bring in parents and family into the discussion. So that was a big learning for me from one of my students.
Right, ma'am. If not education, what would Sunitha ma'am be doing right now?
A bank officer or an air hostess.
Which is why have you chose mathematics and economics as your favorite subjects. Ma'am, what's one hobby of yours that the world doesn't know about? Tell us more about the Sunitha ma'am that DPS and PGOS is not well aware about.
So true, because our personal side, we've never had reason to showcase that, or I think I've forgotten the day when I've used even some time to just have a chat with someone. It's always business I mean, in that sense of professional world. I love music, all genres of music, and just sitting back, tucking myself up and listening to music is a special day for me. And I love pets. I don't have one of my own right now, but the pets that walk into my house also, I cherish the moments I spend with pets.
Ma'am, if you were to log into your computer or scroll through your phone right now, what is the last song that you played or heard in your playlist?
I may not sing the song, but the Hindi classic songs is what I listen to very often.
Right.
And I love all of that.
Ma'am, if you could trade jobs for a day with any other profession, what do you think you would be doing?
I wouldn't talk about trading for jobs. I would say I would trade it to spend the whole day with my grandson.
What is special about him, if you would like to tell us? What is it that you enjoy?
One is, I don't get enough time to spend with him because I have to wait for a video call and those occasional visits that I've done to the US to meet the grandson. But yeah, I feel the stage in life when you grow, because I've been a wife, a mother, a mother-in-law, and then you're a grandmother. It's amazing the feel that you get when you're a grandmother, because the grandson loves you. And the love that they give you, it's like that world is different. And I just wait for those moments that I can connect with the grandson, and I would only trade for that, not for any other job.
Ma'am, so should it be empathy that a teacher's principals should be following towards children, or should they have only responsibility in mind? What kind of approach do you think current teachers and rather parents also should follow? Because if we go back in time, definitely in your schooling days, if a parent comes in, walks into the school, and if the teacher says, complains anything about the student, the parent blindly believes the teacher, and the teachers follows a rather strict discipline. But nowadays the times have changed. So what kind of approach do you think teachers and parents should be following while mentoring their children and students?
See, there are two, I would break your question into two actually. One is about the roles and responsibility that the teacher has. So how professional and careful they should be in dealing with children or caring for children. But the other side is, do you care for children? Do you handle children with empathy or without empathy? In today's world, with the kind of societal changes that have come up, the kind of unit families and children really not building on social skills, they hardly have family around them. Yes. I wonder how many children are met by parents when they reach home, and that means there's a kind of a loneliness setting in. And on the other side, if you look at the adults, each one comes from a complex family setup. Correct. And the work-life balance is not that easy. Or how much ever we say as a workplace, we say we're going to help you with your work-life balance. It's not that easy. Yes. It is pressure-filled, and the demands of the family is also very high. And the dynamics keeps changing every day. And the school dynamics also keeps changing, because the demands on the teacher or anyone part of a professional world is changing. Because we've already spoken about how we need to align to the Zen learner on one side and the progressive educational model on the other. So, but if all of this lacks empathy, then I am observing that it's impacting both the young and the adult in a big manner. The children are losing trust and faith. They are definitely losing love and affection and respect for adults, the elders. And in many ways, the children are becoming intolerant, impatient, and they're not as kind. And there's somewhere this conflict about, should I be honest or not? So all of this is getting impacted. But the fact that if you're empathetic to children, because I always tell my teacher, I see, all of us can't be picture perfect, and we can't work in clockwork precision. We're working with human beings, and we're working in a complex world. So, but I do try to tell my teachers, please look at the child in the eyes. If the child that day is looking a little more forlorn, with the head down on the bench in the first period, or is not as cheerful as they are normally, or not as active as they should be, why don't we just go and touch them on the back and be a little empathetic? I'm there for you, don't worry. Being empathetic also leads to building of respectful environment, because being empathetic, you're not going to be loud at a child. You're not going to reprimand them in front of a whole class of 36 to 38 children. You are going to be mindful of the needs of this child and call them aside and speak to them, and yet do the correction. And I think this balancing act of how I should be in a class, or how I should be in front of learners, how empathetic I should be, and when I should be firm. Just because you're firm, it doesn't mean you're less empathetic. You need not be rude, right? Just to be strict. Strictness means rudeness. It ends up in rudeness. But if you're firm, you still can be empathetic, because the child is allowing you to be firm with you. Yes. So it's all about the kind of environment that you create of respect and trust. For this empathy is very important.
Right. Very well explained, ma'am. And this is a lesson for all of us out there, be it parents, be it teachers. We need not always correct the child or scold them in front of everyone while everyone is present. It's always better to have a personal conversation with a child, which will not only help him or her understand the teacher better, but also make him or her excel in academics and understand him or herself better as a person and work on their skills. So, a moment that we have all been waiting for. Finally, a principal, ma'am, will now be questioned as a student. Let's start a rapid fire round with you, ma'am, where we ask you some out of the box questions which are not related to education for that matter.
I think this is the first time in my life for a rapid fire.
It is nothing very tough, ma'am. It's all just about you. What do you like? But as it is rapid fire round, you need to follow certain rules. You can't take more than 2 seconds to answer this
Okay.
question. So, can I start?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, is it tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
One word that describes you the best.
Leader of today.
Favorite childhood memory?
I think favorite, okay, that's tough to say, but I had this physics teacher who called me out in front of the whole class one day, and he was holding my answer book. And I thought I've done something really wrong, but then he held the paper and he told the whole class of 40 students, he said, I challenge you to find a single error in this answer book. And this was in class 7. I think that made my day, and that childhood memory has always been part and parcel of the way I have set my success story, or rather the way I've worked on myself, or for everything that I do.
Ma'am, if you had to give a TED talk on anything other than education, what would it be?
Leadership.
Ma'am, if you had to give a TED talk on anything other than education, what would it be?
Leadership or SEL, social and emotional learning.
And you have to pick one among the two, between the two. And if you have to pick one between the two?
Leadership.
Leadership. Ma'am, a quote or life mantra you live by?
I wouldn't say one phrase. I would say a couple of them. I strongly believe what's good for me is good for others. And I've always believed in empowering others, and not, and therefore I've actually, in my whole journey, I've created quite a few leaders, and not followers. I also believe that the fact that I'm highly critical of myself is actually helping me, because I always critically go back to my action, to the words that I have said, and I do correct myself. Every day I look back on that, and that's something amazing. I wake up with wow God rather than oh God, and I carry forward with that positive spirit and high energy, and that helps me, because I feel till whatever time I'm ready to close the day, whether it's 11 p.m., whatever, I still feel I have the same energy levels and I feel as energetic. Another very important point is to enjoy your work, because if you start feeling stress is part of life, it's going to be there, so it's fine. But if you don't enjoy your work, then so I always have kept the mantra that enjoy your work, even if it's the worst challenge. Like you have the most difficult member to be met, and you need to control the situation, and you need to put things in order. But I still enjoy it, in the sense, by enjoy, it's not that joy quotient. It's like being comfortable about it, that I am able to do that. And another mantra of life is always keep working, in the sense, work on yourself and work with others. I strongly always acknowledge my team. I never believe that whatever I have, this 35 years, is can be credited to myself as a single member. In all my days of 35 years, I will have reason to connect it to a team. So till date, I always acknowledge my team, and I also feel maybe there are not many people who will sit and appreciate me at this age. It's fine, because at some age you become so mature, you don't look out for appreciation. But nonetheless, I make it a point to acknowledge and appreciate others. So I feel all of these are life mantras. There's a host of it, trust me. And another important point is about believe in yourself. And I was taught by my management never to stand on the fence. That's a mantra I've learned from our chairman, sir, that you cannot be sitting on your decision making. You have to go for a yes or a no. And that's really helped me, because today I'm able to take decisions like that and believe in that decision and stay steadfast to it.
Diverting from the rapid fire round, ma'am, continuing with the same question. We all find it, especially this generation, even me for that matter, we can't make decision very quickly. So if you can give us a tip on how did you start taking decisions quickly? What is that gut feeling? What should we follow? How can we be that sure?
See, in life is all about problem of choice on one side and priority. I think that drives the decision making, right? So if you if I feel for that you should be balanced. You have to be. It's not about presence of mind. It's about being present.
Okay.
In the moment. That actually clears your mind. And you also have to weigh the pros and cons. You have to look out for the benefit is to many or to one.
Okay. All right.
And I think those are very, very small things that, and at times your decision making might be a compromise to your belief systems, probably, but not compromise to ethics or values, but compromise to belief system. But if it's good for on the whole, for many, then it's fine. So as children or adults, I feel they have to look at all of these factors and go with that kind of a gut feeling of, let me do this.
Very well said. Now even I will remember, a decision to take quickly is to quickly analyze whether it's good for one or many.
Yes.
Finishing the rapid fire round with one last question. Ma'am, disciplined students or mischievous students?
I like children to be their age.
Okay.
I'm seriously, because I'm so worried that the children of today are growing up fast. Let them be their own age, and it's fine. They have to be they have to be active. They have to be energetic. They have to be running around. That's part of it, right? And so the classroom cannot be pin drop silence.
Yes.
It has to be engaging with that little noise level that is expected of a highly engaged class. So I like children to be their age.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, when was the last time you have filled in the blanks?
Not on paper, but probably in my mind.
Ma'am, continuing with our last segment, the rules remain the same as rapid fire. You are supposed to fill in the blanks now within 2 seconds. You can't take more than 2 seconds. So education is dash.
Creating a good human being.
The most important lesson that you have learnt in your life is?
Trust people.
The best part of my job is?
That I work with children.
Students today need to learn dash more than anything else.
I feel, especially post-COVID, it's hope and resilience.
If I could change one thing in schools, it would be?
There's a lot of good things happening, but then if I really want to, work on something additionally, then it's how we are engaging our children, how joyful it is for them. Because I think somewhere down the line, the kind of emphasis on heavy curriculum, content-heavy curriculum, irrespective of whatever we do with it, a lot of demands on the children, and I feel somewhere we've removed that joy quotient, that happiness quotient. So I would like to bring that back, and whether it's the adult in our school or the young learners, I want to bring back a sense of feeling that I'm highly engaged during the day and therefore productive. And secondly, the happiness quotient should just rise.
So, ma'am, mathematics or economics?
I would say both.
No, ma'am, you have to pick one.
Oh my, that's difficult.
Ma'am, the clock is ticking. You had 2 seconds.
I'll go with economics.
Listen out, all the math lovers. Ma'am prefers economics more than mathematics. Before we wrap, let's flip roles for a second, ma'am. If you were the host and if I was the guest, what was the first question you would ask me?
I would actually ask you a personal question connected to me. You're my teacher. So what would you say about me and my leadership? What's that one good thing that you observe in me, and what's one area that you feel you could actually give me as a suggestion?
Ma'am, I don't have any suggestions for you, but one thing that comes in my mind when anybody mentions Sunitha ma'am, I think 2 things rather. One, the discipline and the way you carry yourself, ma'am. You are always dressed perfectly. Your hair is neatly set. You wear beautiful saris, and I think for me that itself talks a lot about a person. The way you carry yourself, that tells me how disciplined you are. And whenever you address our gatherings, I'm sorry, I have to say that there are certain words that you use which even I don't understand. So it is an inspiration for me to learn the way you talk, the empathy you show for children, and the confidence you carry. I think whenever I meet you, I always try to, inculcate those values in me. So this is it, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, can you take us through your feelings when you received the national award?
Euphoric. I think there was a lot of joy and a sense of pride. At the same time, it was like, oh my, I've accomplished something. I've done something great in life. The best part of this kind of an award is the fact that even teachers and members of the educational world also have the highest form of recognition. In 2018, when I received the CBSE Teachers Award, it was like I've already kind of set certain stages of progressive educational models in the institutions that I work. That gave me a lot of confidence. But over post-COVID especially, we had to experiment a lot. We had to bring in better solutions for students, train the teachers, equip them. I think all of that made it necessary for me to work a lot more in terms of solutions for the institution. And all that put together reached me to the national award. 34 years, that was 33 years rather, when I got the award. And it was actually an acknowledgement of the tireless work that I've done over the years and the passion that I have as a teacher and as a leader of schools. I don't think there would be a greater honor in my life ever than to have walked onto stage to receive the National Award 2022 from no less than Honorable President, ma'am. And the same day when we were all taken to Honorable Prime Minister's residence for high tea and for a personal interaction with Honorable Prime Minister, whom I was only seeing on television. So when you get to meet such great statesmen of the country, that's enough for me. Like, kind of, it's made my life.
Definitely, that's an inspiration, ma'am. Talking about the work that you have done in the 35 years of your experience in the world of education, you have helped a lot of students. You have helped the student community. Your unique solutions that you have provided to the teachers community, as well as you have even trained principals. Can you walk us through the work that you have done?
It's huge, actually. I'm so glad that probably it runs to pages. But then to mention a few, my core areas have been standardization. So actually over the years, the last 35 years, I have keenly worked on systems and processes in schools, whether it's admin related or academic. And that's actually not just empowered me, but empowered every other member with whom I work, because I'm very high on planning, and I believe that everything should be well planned and in place. There has to be SOPs for everything, and we actually have to work in a systematic manner. Yes, nonetheless, not removing the interesting factor in work. Sometimes I feel systems and practices, people feel it's going to lead to boredom. It's not so for me, because it's actually been as unique as it can be. And all these 35 years, I'm so glad that I've had reason to work with British Council, with NCRT, with CBSE, both the regional level and Delhi headquarters, and with the HRDC, the Training Center of DPS Society. And it has given me immense opportunities to get trained first. That means attend trainings, but then very soon I became a master trainer from the early years of 2005 or so. And after that, there's been no looking back, because I've had loads of opportunities to train heads of schools across the states. I have done training for teachers of our own schools and group schools, and being a city coordinator and a master trainer for COE. I have conducted training for teachers, and beyond that, I've actually worked a lot on curriculum development. Because I think the kind of research I had to do to conduct training also put me on to progressive models of education, both in India and abroad, which I normally have been researching as best practices followed by schools, and try to customize it, try to bring in a flavor that is required as per the context of our institutions, and initiate it in our schools, excite the team that this is something that's very special, take the team along to make it a success. And so therefore there have been, I can't even in a short span of time mention all the initiatives and best practices that I have put into action. And further to that, I have been a content writer for Diksha, for CBSE platform. Just recently I've concluded the content writing with a team of principals on SEL, social and emotional learning. I have conducted, I don't know how many thousands of training programs in the physical mode and virtual mode. Beyond that, my core areas are audit and training. So I've actually worked towards preparing a QMP model, that is quality management program, which empowers teachers and supports teaching community through a proper classroom audit process, observation process. And further to that, I do a lot of gap analysis and understanding of the observation, classroom observation, to the extent that I've been able to find solutions in terms of training, both generic and specific. For the teaching, for the student community, a lot of leadership kind of initiatives been brought in through each of the institutions that I've worked for, and mass programs where 100% participation of students is possible, because at times the major challenge in schools is personalized education model, and I think that's something that I've taken it as a challenge, saying that if DPS Nacharam has almost 8,000 students, Cambridge and CBSE, the first challenge is to ensure a satisfaction level for each child and each parent, and that's been through a 100% participation model. I literally, if I have to start stating all that I have done, I have a lot to share, and I feel I have a lot to give back to the educational world, because right from the days I started working on initiating the math lab, thanks to my mentor, who actually conceptualized it, and I was also taken into fold for the concept of math lab, and I think over the years there's been no looking back, and apart from leading schools, I've always done this little extra bit to ensure that I offer something new. And each year I've never ever completed a program or an event in the same manner as the previous year. There's always a new element, a new angle of thought, and a creative idea stepping into it every single year. I think that really is a stamp of standards and very high on creativity and innovation.
Definitely, ma'am. The work that you have put through for the last 35 years, like you said, there's always a new element that you bring in. So this definitely deserves a series of episodes with you, ma'am. I don't think the single episode is enough to cover the achievements you have brought in to the education world, the solutions you have gotten for the students, you have worked for their wellness, you have worked even for the teachers and the principals community, and definitely the curriculum changes that you have brought in. So we will definitely continue with another series of episodes with Sunitha, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I hope you get some more time to listen to music and spend time with your grandson while taking care of other responsibilities of school. So my dear viewers, this is just the beginning. Stay tuned with us. We are going to get a lot more guests here, principal ma'ams, change makers, social workers, influencers, and lot more. Stay tuned for incredible guests, deep conversations, and a whole lot of fun only at the Social Scoop. And that's a wrap. This is me, Bansari Trivedi, signing off.